The abyss doesn't speak to everyone, only to those who listen. Imagine a wave, not the gentle kind, a wall of feeling that hits without warning. Sadness that drags you underwater. Joy that lifts you so high you lose balance. What if I told you both storms obey the same rules? That every extreme, the crash and the high, is the brain doing its job. But out here, in life, the brain's job feels like betrayal. You think the feeling is you. You think the flood defines you. It doesn't. It reacts. It remembers. It repeats. Today we will learn how the mind reacts, and how you can stop reacting. Not by denying, not by being cold, but by becoming the steady hand in the storm. If you want to stop being carried, this is for you. If you want to be free of your own weather, listen closely. Feel it now. The law, the hollow, the slow-motion grief that turns mornings into heavy stone. You drop a cup. You barely care. You replay the same scene until your chest is raw. And then the high, wild laughter, racing plans, a rush of certainty that tonight the world will bend to you. You gamble. You overshare. You crash later. Both extremes feel like truth. Both lie, because they are signals. They are amplified messages from an ancient brain, wired for survival. Sadness tells you, slow down, reassess, hide. Joy tells you, approach, breathe, reproduce, reward. Neither knows context. Neither reads calendars. Neither understands nuance. So your mind is the only thing it can. It reacts fast and hard. And you confuse reaction for reality. You think you're broken. You think you're blessed. You are neither. You're a nervous system doing arithmetic with old rules. Recognize the pattern. Name the pattern. That's where the work begins. Think of emotion as weather. Clouds form. Lightning fires. Your body is the landscape. The amygdala, the alarm. The prefrontal cortex, the planner. Dopamine, the rocket fuel. Cortisol, the corrosive rain. When you see a loss, the alarm screams. When you touch success, the rocket ignites. Fast limbic reaction. Slow executive response. That gap, seconds to minutes, is where you lose yourself. A thought becomes a judgment. A judgment becomes a story. A story becomes a habit. Habits calcify into identity. I'm a depressive person. I'm an impulsive person. These are labels, not laws. You're not the spike. You're the system where the spike happens. Learn the timing. Watch the gap. When the lightning hits, your job is simple. Breathe. Delay. Observe. Not to be numb. To be present. To give the slow brain a chance to answer the fast brain. This small pause rewrites thousands of reactive moments. Why does joy push you to the edge? Why does sorrow deepen without mercy? Because extremes train the mind. Every time you surrender to a spike, you teach the brain that surrender is the rule. The reward pathways, remember. They ask for repeat performances. A tiny victory becomes a loop. Same with pain. Avoidance becomes an identity. You build walls. You shrink. And the next wave finds a smaller shore. Your context feeds your chemistry. Social triggers. Old wounds. Unresolved conversations. The mind collects evidence and multiplies it. So the fight isn't with feelings. It's with the scripts you've rehearsed. You've learned to dramatize, to amplify, to escalate. Break the rehearsal. Change the stage directions. Stop rehearsing the collapse. Stop rewarding the mania. It's simple in theory, hard as hell in practice. But every change begins with one small interruption. When the flood comes, do these 5 things. Now, name it. Say the feeling out loud. This is anger. This is a high. Naming cuts amygdala activity. Words steer the storm. Breathe with intent. Box breathing. In 4. Hold 4. Out 4. Hold 4. Repeat. This slows heart rate. It tells your body the danger is optional. Ground the body. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Name 5 things you see, 4 you can touch, 3 you hear, 2 you smell, 1 you taste. It drags the mind into the present. Delay the decision. If you want to text, by quit, confess, wait 24 hours. Mini delay breaks the loop. Make the brain comfortable with saying not now. Small physical action. Do 1 mundane movement. Wash your hands, step outside, put water on your face. Physical action interrupts the story. Do them in order, or pick the ones that land for you. Do not intellectualize. Do not argue with the feeling. Treat it like weather, acknowledge, shelter, act. Each action tells your nervous system a new story. It learns you can survive the storm without surrendering to it. That learning compounds. Immediate tools patch the leak. Long-term work rewires the house. Journal the pattern. Write the trigger, the intensity, the action you took. Over time, you'll see the same ghosts. Ritualize recovery. Have a predictable landing sequence for every intense moment. Name, breathe, step, journal. Ritual trains the brain. Reframe the narrative. Ask, what is this feeling asking me to notice? Turn suffering into a signal, not a sentence. Build protein habits. Sleep, movement, daylight, social contact. These are the scaffolding for emotional stability. Without them, the brain's thermostat breaks. Practice micro-exposures. If joy makes you reckless, practice small wins without spectacle. If sadness cloaks you, schedule brief, focus social windows. Train tolerance in tiny doses. Therapy or coach. You don't have to do deep work alone. A mirror held by another trained mind shortens the route. Name your rules. Create a rule book for extremes. I don't make big promises when I'm ecstatic. I don't isolate for more than 2 days when pulled down. Rules are scaffolds for freedom. Slow change feels boring. That's the point. Stability is boring until you feel what calm really is. What happens when you stop reacting? Silence. At first, it feels empty. Then it was peaceful. Then powerful. In the silence, emotions lose their grip. They appear, move, vanish without dragging you. This is where true control begins. When you can feel everything without losing yourself. You will still feel joy. You will still ache. But now you won't drown. You will watch the wave, let it pass, and walk forward dry. That's not coldness. That's consciousness. You will begin to see emotions not as masters, but as weather passing across the landscape of awareness. And for the first time, you will meet the watcher, the one beneath all reactions. Who are you when the storms stop? When you're not high or low, just here. You are what remains when the reaction ends. Not the sadness, not the joy, but the awareness behind both. That awareness is the real you. It doesn't need validation. It doesn't panic when things fall apart. It simply witnesses and acts when necessary. Most people never meet this version of themselves. They spend their lives trapped between feeling too much and feeling nothing. You don't have to. Every moment you pause before reacting, you strengthen that awareness. Every conscious breath, every delayed impulse builds a self that cannot be shaken. And when that happens, life changes shape. You stop chasing peace. You become it. Because control isn't suppression, it's sovereignty. And sovereignty begins the moment you stop being carried by your own storms. Before every reaction, there's a pause. A split second, invisible, silent, but powerful enough to rewrite your entire life. That space is where your freedom lives. It's the place between the trigger and the explosion, between the feeling and the choice. Most people never notice it. They're too consumed by the emotional wave that hits before thought even forms. But the few who do, they stop being slaves to their chemistry. They learn to breathe inside that pause, to see their emotion before it consumes them. And in that awareness, the storm slows. Because the moment you see your reaction, you're no longer inside it. You've stepped outside the loop, into control. That pause isn't emptiness. It's your power, waiting to be claimed. The storms will come. The mind will still scream. Love will still burn. Sadness will still ache. But you, the one who watches it all, remain untouched. Now imagine the ordinary day. You feel a wave. You do the work, breathe, name, delay. The wave passes faster. You respond with choice. You act with intention. Over months, the surprises shrink. You stop being a puppet of chemistry. You become the author of your days. Not by denial, but by honest mastery. Here is the last truth. Emotions will always be loud. That's its job. Your job is not to silence it. Your job is to answer it with presence. To be the steady hand that greets the storm. To hold space. To choose responses that honor your deeper aims. One practice to end with. Every evening, name one moment you reacted well. Write down. Celebrate it. Tiny rewrites build a new habit. Tiny rewrites build a new self. If this cut through, if you felt the sharpness, remember this. Control is not domination. Control is attention applied with courage. It is small, repeated interruptions. It is a ritual. It is patience. It is true. Allow the practice. Not to be perfect, to be real. And one last line, short, heavy. When you learn to meet emotion, you meet yourself. If this touches something you can't ignore, subscribe, like, and share with someone who needs to stop being carried by their weather. Let's learn to stand. And if this message found you when you needed it, subscribe. Stay close. Because every week, we go deeper.